people who have lost primaries, or people who cannot even win a street, decides that, oh, they're going to cheat me to win the seat of the governor, inciting people. And if you look at the demography of population, it's a pyramid. So it's the lower end. And it's that lower end that all these people belong to.
But there's been education asking that lower end to stop allowing themselves to be used.
Unfortunately, it's a matter of bread and butter. And the education in court is not, we have educated people, we have educated illiterates, and we have the illiterates. Unfortunately, the educated illiterates are more dangerous than the illiterates, because the illiterates will still ask you to help them. But the educated illiterates are the ones that you really would think they know something which they don't know. So in this case, for as long as, and I looked at what INEC released, I don't know how reliable it is, that students, for example, constitute about 26% of the registered voters. Now, we have the secret courts. They all practically run the institutions. And then the politicians will go to them soliciting for that. So I think, like Pastor said, it started not third tier now. It started from when we had the action group and the rest, NCSC, the days of wait here. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria. However, there must be a solution. That's why we're here. There must be a solution. We can't continue like this.
Chief Wazuki, so 26% of the number of registered voters are students. Many of them, or let me not say many, some of them are in one group or the other. And their senior colleagues...
Don't call it group, call it what it is, cult.
Okay, cult. Are in one cult or the other. Now, there are colleagues who have, their senior colleagues are running one position or running for one office or the other, or their friends are running for one position or the other.
Their parents.
Some of them parents. But many of them are not used to foment the trouble. Why is that so?
Well, there is something in you that drives you in what direction you want to go to. You enter the university, you want to be a cult member from day one. That is the aspiration. You want to graduate and become a reasonable person. That is also aspiration. You want to become what we call in local parlance, agbero, a tout. It's your own aspiration. So, but the issue of 26% being students, I think it is wrong. As at the time they registered, the information they gave was students. Many of them have passed into the society. They are no longer students. So that percentage may be wrong. But the desire to be a ready-made killer is always there. Every politician will always...
How do you mean the desire to be a ready-made killer is always there?
It's always there. In every
The
student.
desire to be an
In other words, remember that thing we said about...
Sorry. Is it the desire to be a ready-made killer or the desire to be relevant?
Well, they call it relevant. Remember what I said about the thugs who are ignored. In the same way, you can't come here without coming to see me. I am relevant in the society. I will kill if you don't come. In other words, I'm ready to unleash violence if you ignore me. In every institution, you always have that. Even the vice chancellor has to play safe because of the sheer population of the students. But in the larger society, every politician who knows his onions knows how to navigate. Let's use Lagos as an example. You cannot paste posters, even if you have government permission, without the permission of the local area board. If you do that, you will remove them. So you pay government, you go and also pay them. Otherwise, their posters will be destroyed. So it is all over Nigeria. That desire to be a ready-made killer starts from beginning.
Mrs. Thompson, okay. When I asked that question about some whose parents or relatives are running for office, but they don't use them for these things, it's like something. Okay, Oluwafemi said this, that one of the thugs that was used in the violence, he heard that the guy is a dual citizen, so he has another passport, so there's a likelihood that he can leave the country at any time. But the bulk of these ones who get used to foment trouble here are not dual citizens. They have only one passport. How do we get out of this position? I met a young man, I keep telling this story, I met a young man at the airport in a wheelchair. He took a bullet for a politician, but he's in pain. The previous day, the hotel we stayed at, I saw that same politician having fun. And then I'm leaving that town and I see the young man. Now, what happened to you?
See, for such a serious issue, we must rise even beyond the fact that the children of the politician are not involved, other people's children are involved. We need to rise and look at the whole philosophy of political violence. Let me take it in 3 steps, if we look at Nigeria in particular. Frederick Lugard established the protectorates with violence. And the thing about life is that once you've been violated, you will violate others. Sokoto, Kano, just go through the whole gamut of how the colonial governments were established, and you see the amount of bloodshed that was involved. It's the psychology that's involved. In Satiru, in 1906, there was an uprising very close to Sokoto. The British wiped out the entire place. And now, you're going to now discover that when politics now comes in, shortly afterwards the army comes in, and there's an initiation of violence on a level that Nigeria has never seen before, 15th of January, 1966. And then you find out that leadership has now to be sustained with some degree of violence behind it. So the psyche of the nation itself has been brutalized. Remember that even when President Obasanjo, just go through the line, Ken Saro-Wiwa, go through the line, Odi, if you remember, you'll find out that it's almost as if, let me bring in the spiritual side to it, a relationship with consistent bloodshed. And because we are Africans and Nigerians, if we're ever going to solve this thing, we're not only going to look at it from the philosophical perspective, we also have to bring the religious perspective into, so that we can now reach the people that you're talking about. Obviously, it's like we're paying tithes in blood to keep Nigeria going.
The build-up.
Yeah.
When he started, the initial thing he said was built-up thought process. Now he's looked at the historical side, spiritual and social.
Yes.
How do we get out of this? It looks like it's too deep. It looks as if it's too...
It's now a part of us.
Really?
Yes, that's what I said before. I said, if you look historically, that's been part of us. But I think that first we need to begin to, when we were growing up, we had Sunday school, we were taught moral values, and we had so much respect for our teachers, we had so much respect for our parents, we were taught what the importance of our name, the values of the name, all that. I don't think we have that right now. You'll be surprised that some of these thugs are university graduates, master's degree. It's not as if they didn't have education, but they didn't have moral education. That's very, very vital this day. The second point is that those who seek political office are actually determined by the thugs, whether we like it or not. And can anything good come out of that? Number 3 is that the elites or the middle class that are not thugs were so scared, timid, that once they make a noise, everybody says, I can tell you today that a number of people are saying, I don't want to go out and vote because I don't want to lose my life. And then we're asking for good governance. How do we get it? If these guys determine who becomes the leader, can anything good come out of that process? That is it. I think for us is to at least ask the police, and I'm going to get into this. The police is the security agency for democratic structures. We need to empower the police. Make sure they are armed properly. Allow DSS to do the information gathering. Let the military, the army, stay in the barracks. And let police, that is what they should, or the civil defense to join them, be the ones to take care of the crime.
But the army is already, they had something they are focusing on right now.
They're
and then you're talking about the police and maybe the
Yes.
civil defense.
Yes.
Are some of these people, some of these court members not in the police or the civil
Well,
defense?
it's a societal thing. Even if there is nowhere in the world, even in America, you find the criminals in security outfits. Yeah. So it's not peculiar to us. What we need to do is to have a process by which we can decipher the two. We can decipher the two and make sure that we have what is best. We cannot leave the police half-baked and think we can get out of this. We cannot leave the police with the number that we have per person today and think we can get out of this. We cannot continue to use DSS for the function of the police and we don't gather information. Information is very key to this thing. They are supposed to gather information and then the police will process that information and fight the crime. Everybody, we know one another in this country. We're community-based people. We know one another. We know what we can do. And I think that if the police is empowered. You remember when the IG that was from Ogbomoso, when Ashagari was there, he took up the police with
Sunday Adewusi.
Adewusi. Thank you very much, sir. He took up the police and he empowered them. The police were able to fight. Even the Boko Haram we're talking about, if the police are well trained and empowered, they can handle it. And when we now have an invasion, then the military will come out to do that. We don't need that now. What we get is that we have a police that is totally, I don't want to use it before they start saying that I'm insulting them on TV, but they're not well equipped. And it's not the fault. Government should put money into this. This is a serious issue in this country. Second, we have a social problem. People are not employed. And for that, they must look for a means of livelihood. You must not threaten their means of livelihood, otherwise they will revolt. And that is not physical carrying arms, but when it's 4 years, I'm going to look for, the next 4 years is my permutation. If this party does not win, then I am out of business. And then when the party wins, the only those who that belongs to them are the ones that they patronize or patronizes them. So I am also going to look at my future. Just as you are here in channels, it is important that your future is secured.
Okay.
Can you just hold that thought?
Thank you.
We need to take a short break. We'll be back shortly.